So what I'm going to demonstrate right now is this new capability called Proprietary Component Governance that allows organizations to identify proprietary components that have been built internally to do two things. Number one, help drive adoption of those frameworks if that's the desire, or number two, ensure compliance if they actually shouldn't be used anymore. So the way I find this is by clicking on the open source safety tile. Again, I'm at the portfolio level here within Cast Highlight. And you'll notice a number of tabs here. Obviously, we land first on our portfolio's advisor for open source, but this last tab here is named and labeled proprietary component. If I click on that, I come to this screen. And essentially what this screen does is it allows users to search through all of the components that Cast Highlight has detected that have not matched with a third-party or open source component in our knowledge base. So we put it in this other area that allows users to search for them because they may be proprietary or internally developed frameworks components, and they can do various things here. So for example, we've already in this sample portfolio have a number of these proprietary components already tagged with different statuses and flags. So for example, I could see that I already have 19 proprietary components identified. If I just click that button, it'll bring those up. I'll see the name of the component, the fact that I already tagged as proprietary, what its status is, any custom tags that have been added, a custom description. I could see how many versions that have been detected, and I could even see which applications are using these proprietary components. And I could obviously edit that. I could quickly see which components are allowed, right? So if I click on that, it's going to automatically bring up my list of allowed components. Or denied. I might have denied components. I can quickly click on that and see all my denied components. So these are just some quick filters on components that I've already gone and set some properties for. I could also see we've set some custom tags. So for example, we have some components tagged as critical, authentication-based components, licensed, etc. Some tagged with the vendor like Microsoft. These are custom tags. I could click on this and I could see all the different tags that have been defined for that. And if I click on that, it will automatically bring up the components that were tagged with that specific tag. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of how you just quickly filter or view or browse components that have already been, kind of tagged or had status set. What if I'm trying to find a component that I know is internally developed and I want to see if it's being adopted? So that's that first use case. So maybe there's some kind of authentication library that my organization has built, and this is the new authentication method that we want our applications to start adopting more broadly. So I could simply come here, do a quick search because I know what the name includes, and it's just doing a normal search, normal text search, bringing up all of the components with a name that has, these characters in it. And lo and behold, I can come down here and I can see, this is a component, this Flask-OAuth component. Let's say, for argument's sake, that this is an internally developed component that I want to be adopted, right? So I found it. I could see that there is one version, and I could see here that it's actually only being used by one application right now. So we've got some work to do, right? Clearly, we need to drive some awareness, some communication to our dev teams. I need to get in touch with our dev leaders and make sure they are aware that this component exists. They need to start adopting it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit this. So I know this is proprietary component, so I'm going to select the type. I already know that it does not need to be reviewed and that it's allowed, so I'm going to set that. And then I'm going to, I can add a tag like standard or something like that. Okay, so I've just added that tag. And this is our new authentication method to adopt. All right, I'm just putting a very simple description there. And I'm going to save that. And now that component has been tagged, so I could see here that if I were to go ahead and filter by proprietary, I will now see that Flask OAuth now appears in this filter. I've got that tag that I added, the description, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one simple way to do a search and set some status. There's also these drop downs right below the search box if I want to further refine my search results. So for example, if I know I've already tagged that authentication component, but I'm trying to find it. And if, let's say, I do that search and let's say I come back with hundreds of rows, I can quickly filter this by allowed, and then I just filtered it down to the one I'm looking for, right? So just these filters are just to help you kind of sift through large lists of information if you want. Let's talk about that other second use case very quickly. So let's say I was licensing a component from Microsoft for a while, and I've decided I'm no longer going to do that because we built one internally, or we decided to license from another vendor. So I'm going to just do a quick search. Can I find all components that have the word Microsoft in them? Okay, yep, I see here. There's a few, and I noticed that, whoops, I'm going to switch that status. Okay, I see a whole bunch of components right here that have the words Microsoft in them. And let's say maybe this Microsoft.ai.web is one that we are no longer licensing. So I can go ahead and simply edit that. I'm going to say, yes, it is proprietary, not to me, but to Microsoft, and it is denied. And I'm going to put the Microsoft tag on it. Let's call this unauthorized. It's probably a better way to say that. So I have those couple of tags, no longer to be used. So now I've got this component tagged, it is denied, and now I can keep an eye on which applications are using this so that I could reach out to the team that's developing eShop modernizing. They're still using 2 versions of this component, contact them and say, hey, this is no longer authorized. We'd like you to move away from this component and shift to some alternative component that we've now approved for use that has similar functionality. So again, very quick examples there of how this works. Just again, in summary, essentially what we're doing here is we're helping organizations identify components that are not open source or third-party components because we can't match them with our knowledge base. We put them in this separate area, allow users to search through them, filter them, tag them, set policies to drive essentially 2 use cases. Number 1, to drive adoption of desired components that have maybe been built internally and we want to see more adoption of those. And number 2, to ensure compliance. If there's proprietary components that should not be used any longer, maybe they're unlicensed for now or something of that nature.